Ownership of the Colts at 37 years old after the death of his father, Bob. That was in 1997. He oversaw a period of success for the franchise. They're the sixth winningest organization in the NFL since he became the owner. Under his watch, the Colts advanced to a pair of Super Bowls, winning after the 2006 season. The team announced that Irsay passed away peacefully in his sleep on Wednesday afternoon. NBA Eastern Conference Final Wednesday in overtime. The Pacers outlasted the Knicks 138-135. Game 2 Friday night at Madison Square Garden. Tonight, Western Conference Final, Game 2, Oklahoma City hosting Minnesota. The Thunder up 1-0. NHL West Final, Dallas beat Edmonton 6-3 to go up 1-0. Tonight, East Final Game 2, Florida up 1-0 on Carolina. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like fences. A house with a big yard and a white picket fence was always the dream. But then you saw the price to install a fence and you're wondering if the color is driving the price up. Nobody ever dreams of a beige or a gray picket fence, right? So maybe those fences are cheaper. But no, they're not. Then you remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds and make all your dreams of a fence come true. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Only Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
It's me, Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. I see those dry elbows, baby. But don't worry, get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated you can skip the lotion after.
Don't wanna see it dry no more. Skin so moisturized with body wash.
Look at you now. No more dry skin. Your skin gets the moisture it craves with
Only Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
You don't have to sink a 30-footer from the end of your driveway to come out of the NBA playoffs smelling like a rose. Sports Grid brings you all the angles, insights, and odds.
And more to make you a winner.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, listen, I don't know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the Sports Grid Radio Network, Sirius XM Channel 159.
Yo! The best of your day is now officially underway. It is a Thursday right here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Donnie Rightside, and I don't know, maybe we'll be joined shortly here by old K-Dub Kevin Walsh on a Thursday exciting episode, Sirius XM Channel 159, Sports Grid Network. You know it's the place to be. You know all the hot topics that are hitting, and you know your boy DRS loves himself some Major League Baseball, which has been kind to us over the past couple days. Some interesting spots today, once again, which we will take a look at. The chat box, if you're in here, you're doing it wrong. If you're not, Sports Grid on demand on our YouTube channel. Get in here, hit the subscribe button, get into the chat box, say hello. Kristen's out here, Francisco's out here, Darren's out here, and away we go into the show, which you know me. I like to be rested. I like to be ready because the energy needs to be here for the people that are listening in. It's talking about it's being respectful, right? You want to be respectful of your elders. I want to be respectful to the people that are tuning into this program today, as well as on any program that I appear on here on the Sports Grid Network. Why? Because I owe you that respect to bring the energy and the knowledge and the want to power through the hours of programming that I do. So I go to bed earlier than most people. And it stinks sometimes because I'm in the sports business and I miss a lot of things that go down after 9 or 10 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. It's a shame of it. But again, I wake up early. I get caught up on everything. Never in a million years did I think last night, after an OG Anunoby layup with about 7 minutes to go and a Pacers timeout, which put the Knicks up, I believe, 16 points, that I don't have to worry about my wager on the New York Knicks at -4.5 not cashing. Should have been an easy street. Or let alone the Knicks losing that basketball game. Only to wake up, and sometimes it's like, you know what? I don't have the TV on. And by the way, if anybody doesn't sleep with a noise app, you're crazy. Every night, man. Every night, green noise, white noise, red noise, whatever noise you want, I'm listening. And I love it. It gives me great sleep. So the TV isn't on when I'm sleeping at night. I used to be a big TV sleeper, by the way. Anybody out there do that? Like, I couldn't sleep unless the TV was on for, I don't know, 35 years of my life. But now I find myself turning the television off and turning the noisemaker on, per se, right? The sound machine. through YouTube. And by the way, how do you do it through YouTube? Well, you have to have the premium because otherwise, who's waking up every 3 minutes when they interrupt you with a commercial on those? 10 hours, 12 hours, you put those apps on, it's fantastic sleep. So I put that on last night, went to bed, and Knicks got to win, wake up in the morning, recalibrate, see what the series is looking at. So I wake up and immediately when the answer machine, my goodness, when the alarm goes off on my phone and I start to scroll through what happened last night, the first thing that popped up on my screen was a paper, and I believe it was the New York Post, I want to say, and the back page with Tyrese Halliburton showing the chokehold. And I said, no, it couldn't happen. Kevin, I mean, tell me about this. The chokehold from Halliburton, I wake up. I didn't need to see the final score of that game to be like, what happened over the final 5 minutes of that game, which caused an unbelievable collapse into overtime, which saw the Pacers take an excruciatingly tough victory away from the New York Knicks and put them in the loss column and panic in the streets in the Fashion District last night.
I'm telling you, Donnie, you'll never see anything like it. Aaron Nesmith all of a sudden started having shooting practice with 4 minutes left in this game. Like, if you had an Aaron Nesmith prop, you were not home going into the fourth quarter. You needed more. And then you sat there and watched this guy score 30, and it's probably difficult to wrap your head around. But the Pacers, Donnie, and Rick Carlisle has had himself an excellent resume run here in Indiana. His all-time status is, growing with each win. They realize we need to start bombing away now. Because the other option is to take everybody out, and we're not interested in doing that. And Nesmith the crazy thing is, like, if I said, hey, Donnie, who's the best three-point shooter on the Pacers? You're going to name multiple guys before you name Aaron Nesmith. 3 after 3 after 3. Turnover here, offensive foul. Lead just keeps getting dwindled down. And the Knicks just missed free throws to give the Pacers an opportunity. I had a couple of props on the board where I still was like, overtime would be nice. And, OG Anunoby splits that, so it's a 2-point game. And anybody who watched what Halliburton did to the Cavs in game 2, you're like, if you need overtime, you're like, please just take the 2 points. Please don't force the 3. He drives all the way into the paint.
Yes, he did.
And then, Donnie, the old, stop it back there. I'm going to turn this car around. He turned that car around, sprints to the 3-point line, looks like he missed it. It raindrops in. Everyone loses their mind. I mean, it is unreal. He's doing the choke, and as he's doing it, there's Knicks fans holding up the 2 in his face, and I'm like, and then you finally notice the score bug is a 2. You're like, this game's not even over. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen, ever.
One of the bigger collapses you'll find, backed up by a 994-0 teams with a certain lead in the fourth quarter in the playoffs, now have a 994 whatever and 1 because the Knicks lost last night. And again, I was telling the story, like, even to Ben, I was like I wanted to stay up because I had a Knicks ticket -4.5. I'm like, oh, this is good now. Started to get tired. My other ticket was Karl Anthony Towns under 1.5 3-point shots made at plus money price. He hits his first 2 in the first quarter. I'm done with that. Like, okay, split in the NBA, it's no big deal. I'll go to bed a winner here. Like, waking up and seeing that and then seeing how it actually came to fruition. And also at the time where I'm sitting there going, I'm going to have to watch this through because even the announcer saying like, oh, Brunson picks up his 5th foul. Knicks better just hold the water for the next 8 minutes. Like, well, this could be good. And the Knicks just went on an unbelievable run where the Pacers like, hey, Knicks, every 3-point you shooter, I'm going to hit you like a bulldozer and send it to the line for 3 foul shots here. It was amazing to watch. A huge lead. Karl Anthony Towns, that little jump back one-hander pointing at OG Anunoby or whoever he was. This game's done. It's a wrap at this point. Only to see that type of collapse late. And it does take miracle shots as well as miracle plays by the Knicks to not convert, not do anything. And then you're right. The biggest part of this that we don't probably give enough respect to is the Pacers and Halliburton hit that shot. They stream off the bench. We won. Oh, my God, we stole in the Garden. Choke.
Yes.
We didn't actually win, though. We got 5 more minutes to go. Oh, no, I know how this plays out. We thought we won. A foot's on the line. We end up losing. Like Kevin Durant. Remember Kevin Durant draining a 3-point shot going up against Bucks? Oh, no, now we got to go OT. Didn't win that game. I'm surprised that the Pacers had enough fuel in the tank, Kevin, for the comeback, and then 5 more minutes in OT.
And also, we seen OT, Donnie, first 2 minutes into overtime. Mm-hmm. It's 4-0 Knicks.
Yes.
They're like, ooh, this could get bad. Yep. And look, a missed call or on a goaltend on Miles Turner that they called a block, which would have made it 6. Instead, Halliburton transition, Nembhard 3, 1-point game, next possession, Nembhard bucket, and then they just went back and forth. And man, again, the Pacers have 3 victories that every organization in the NBA maybe has 1. And they have 3 in a single postseason run that, by the way, so far is only 11 games long.
Yes.
Like it is crazy. Just the way that this whole thing has been going.
These 2 teams absolutely incredible in the playoffs with their comebacks here. Never give up mentality. But what's next for the Knicks here? Like, we get a day off, and it's great that we play every other day because tomorrow will be a Friday game at the Garden. Would be insane. Let's talk about the future of this series next, right here on Moneyline.
Of summer have returned and taken the field for the great American pastime.
You should monetize that.
Get the winning edge. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
With the Sports Grid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzy. The U.S. government has delivered its first monthly surplus in its 2025 fiscal year, the second largest monthly surplus in history. In April, the U.S. government spent $591.8 billion while collecting $850.2 billion, creating a monthly budget surplus of $258.4 billion. The last monthly surplus was around a $300 billion surplus in April 2022. The popular video game Fortnite has returned to the iPhone App Store in the U.S. Fortnite hailed its app's long-awaited restoration to the iPhone and iPad in a Tuesday post, marking the first time it will be available on those devices since it was ousted in 2020 for trying to avoid the 15 to 30% commissions that Apple collects on in-app transactions. Apple said the dispute that had been keeping Fortnite off its iOS software for the iPhone had been resolved. I'm Trey Westerberg with the Sports Grid News Flash.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the mountains or go pick up your dry cleaning? RV wins! Are we cleaning the gutters or taking the RV camping? RV wins! Are we getting a new passport or cruising up the coast? RV wins!
Don't forget, you got that trip to Sweden coming up.
Oh, yeah, passport, then RV.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states and situations.
Something amazing is happening in networking. Organizations are scaling with less stress. That's because CDW is designing and implementing intelligent HPE Aruba networking solutions that simplify and secure operations. With automation at the center of your data center, growing pains can be a thing of the past. HPE Aruba Networking and CDW. Make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Aruba.
You don't have to sink a 30-footer from the end of your driveway to come out of the NBA playoffs smelling like a rose. Sports Grid brings you all the angles, insights, and odds.
And more to make you a winner.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Oh, where do we stand now, Kevin? This is the greatest buy-in point of all time. So this will be just the easiest buy-in you're ever going to get. Let's take a look at the series prices now, which we were going over on the early line earlier. Pacers, Knicks. Heading into the series, Kevin, it was, all right, Knicks around like that minus 145-ish price here to win the series. Made a lot of sense, but also showed a lot of respect for the Indiana Pacers. Waking up today, the Pacers have completely role reversed even higher, Kevin, than what the Knicks were favored to win this series themselves after winning game number 1 in an unbelievable comeback. 166 is now the favorite here for the Pacers. The underdog price is the Knicks to win the series at a plus 140. So I always get a kick out of these because there are ways that teams lose games, and how you approach those losses. I don't necessarily take away from the game that, the Pacers got really lucky. You got to make plays at the right times. The NBA is a game of runs. I get it. The Knicks were the better team here heading down the stretch and absolutely blew a gasket and lost that. So I do think the Pacers are getting a lot more credit on the actual odds spectrum with being a minus 166. Like, they're being priced now, again, not a heavy favorite, because you look around, it's like, hey, you know what? OKC wins game number 1. It's like minus 1,000 per se for them to win the series. No way Minnesota can ever come back. But the Pacers being flipped to a minus 166 as if, Kevin, they went in there, won the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, walked up an easy victory. I believe that's the overall swing. Now, before the series started, what did I think was going to happen? Wanted the Knicks to win, but you know what? I actually like the Indiana dog price at this point. But now that the Pacers have won game number 1, I think the Knicks win game number 2. I like the plus 140 on the Knicks for the rest of the series now. Just price. Forget about the teams. Just price points right now that I see.
So I get that. I do. I think the question is, right, you expect the Knicks to win game number 2, that makes sense. Would you say, Donnie, that you also expect the Knicks and Pacers to split games 3 and 4?
That is correct. Yes, I do.
I wonder, I think it becomes interesting then, right? It's like, when is the best time to jump in? If the Knicks win the next 2 games, crushed it, perfect, right? You'll have a better number now than you would even going into a game 5 if it's 2-2 with 2 remaining at the Garden. If the Pacers win game number 3, is this price going to be better or worse? I'm not sure. I am now worried.
The Pacers would be a heavier favorite. If the Pacers are 2-1 after game number 3.
You think they'll be a bigger favorite than they are right now?
Correct. Game 4 on their court. They'll be favored for that, and then in favor for the series itself because they have the lead. Not wrong. I do believe that.
I don't think you're wrong. So that makes me think maybe, some pause on the Knicks. That loss for the Knicks was so brutal. You just wonder, and you learn this from watching these Pacer series. Like, maybe you can't come back from it. Like, the Pacers did that in game 2. Now, difference because you're up 2-0 on the road, but they did it in game 2 to the Cavs.
Yep.
And if that didn't happen, the series would have been 2-2 going back to Cleveland. Cleveland would have been a huge favorite, right? And even if they lost that game 5 like they did, game 6, they could win it. And then boom, right? We're right back to, game 7 at home. Sometimes those one in a 995, right? Whatever the number is, Donnie, those victories, it's enough to swing a series. I'm struggling trying to figure out how to play that series on a series, edge perspective.
Here's what I like too. Like game number 2, I do think the Knicks win. And also just looking at some of the early returns on what the odds are, it's no surprise. Like the Knicks were favored by 4.5 last night, call it. They're 5.5, 6 at some outlets for that game because, yes, it's a must-win for the Knicks. They know they can't go down 0-2. But from my look at it here, and again, I love the fact that we had high scoring last night. 227 is that, going rate for game number 2 tomorrow night in the Garden. I love the Knicks, Kevin, first half tomorrow. I really do. It's minus 3.5. And I just look at it like they were up enough to cover the 3.5 in game number 1. They let it slip away. But I always look at like, okay, how do you set the tone for this? Because understand this, Kevin. The Garden is going to be rocking again, understanding, hey, Knicks need us right now. They play well. We're going to be behind them the whole night. Let's get 1-1. We'll go back to Indiana. But if you are struggling in the first half, and let's just say the Knicks are losing by 2 points, Kevin, at the break, doom and gloom starts. Even if it's 2 points, hey, it's no big deal. It is a big deal. Because psychologically, you let that game slip away. You should have had it. You were up, 7 points or so at the break in game number 1. If the Knicks are not winning that game at the half tomorrow, Kevin, they're going back to Indiana down 0-2. I firmly believe that. So even though I said, Donnie, you said you like the Knicks for the game. I do, because that means not the Knicks up 18 at the break and it's a runaway like we saw in game number 5 or game number 6, against the Boston Celtics. There's no doubt in my mind that if the Knicks are not winning tomorrow night by halftime, it's a wrap because they can win in the second half. I get that. But just the MO of the series itself, it has to be reset in a Knicks fashion, and that starts tomorrow in the first half. I love the Knicks in the first half.
It makes a lot of sense, right? The simple thought is, and I get what you're saying. It's not that it's impossible, but the Knicks are not who you believe they are if they're down at the break on, in game number 2 on a Friday. So I have this Pacer ticket, Donnie, from the beginning of the season, right? To win the East. And I've not hedged off of it. And I let game 1 play out. They've been stealing game 1s. I thought the Knicks would win the series, by the way. Coming into it, I was thinking Knicks in 7. Obviously, that's still on the board. I'm just trying to figure out when, if at all, do I lay off, a portion of this ticket. Because, you wait this long, right? And you're like, there's that part where you're like, what's the point? We're here already. That's what happens with hedging sometimes,
Yep.
And you're 3 wins away from a winner. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure that dance out right now.
It is and I like where this is going because I want extended series. I do. So look at that game again. Just waking up and seeing that the Knicks lost, you're so stunned because it would have been such an odd talk Knicks, by 22 points last night. Can the Pacers come back? Is it too much at this point for the Pacers to come back and win that game and now have this series commanding 1-0 series lead, which isn't all that commanding, but sports books, hey, minus 170 or so, have at it, man. Great game number 2 sets up. We also, the game number 2 tonight in OKC.
Sports Grid.
Stamping out the boredom in baseball year after year. We bring you all the angles, insights, and information you need. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
The Sports Grid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1968, Pittsburgh Pirates future Hall of Famer Willie Stargell hits 3 home runs in a 13-6 rout of the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Pops hit 475 career home runs and won League MVP and World Series MVP in 1979.
Willie Stargell explodes one out of here to deep right center field.
For Sports Grid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Flying construction robots coming soon to a building site near you. Swiss researchers have found that precision flying construction robot drones, similar technology to that used to create those beautiful synchronized aerial displays, can be used to precisely position large objects, assisting construction workers at great heights. Synchronized drone swarms autonomously constructing entire buildings in remote locations, hazardous conditions, even cutting down on construction accidents. Ouch. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Football full circle.
People play flag football because they're not at an elite level to play contact sports and can't play in the NFL. And now these players are going to go play against high schooler and college kids and try to dominate. And that's what they care about. That is absolutely ridiculous to me. That's the problem with the league and the players today. It's completely ludicrous.
It's football full circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the Sports Grid Radio Network. In baseball, a batter gets 3 strikes. In sports gaming,
you get 1.
No do-overs.
You need all the help you can get. And that's what you get with us, your trusted source for gaming odds and more. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Chat box fired up out there. Kristen Hess, X-Man, Jordan P. Vic's in there now. Everybody's out here having fun. Doing it right here on Sports Grid On Demand on our YouTube channel. Make sure you get in there, subscribe, have some fun. Come talk to us. The topics don't stop right now. We're in a little bit of an NBA lock. Why? Yesterday I had the Knicks minus 4.5. I lost that. I had OG. I keep saying that. I had Karl Anthony Towns over 1.5 or under 1.5 3-point shots made. He made 2, so I went 0-2. The night before, Kevin, nice pristine 2-0. OKC minus 7.5. Boom, double digits. Knew that would happen. They end up carrying the second half, and also a Anthony Edwards under 27.5, which crashed down to around 24.5 at game time. And he easily stayed under that, even if it was 24.5. So today we look, it's OKC as a 7.5-point favorite. No surprise there. Total open up at 213, getting bet up once again like we saw in game number 1, up to as high as 217 and 217.5 now at BetMGM. Kevin, I like the Minnesota Timberwolves, completely opposite of what I had in game number 1. And I also like Anthony Edwards over 24.5 points. Like I think I'm going 2-0 again tonight. I don't know if the Thunder win. Excuse me. I don't know if the Timberwolves win outright. I think it'll be close enough for them to win outright. I like the points, and there's no way, shape, or form you can look at a superstar like Anthony Edwards, who scored under 20 points, and everybody's going doesn't shoot enough. I don't know what he's doing right now, and goes, you know what, let me just take the rest of the series off. You guys are right. I'm going home. Like, I expect one of those games which, Kevin, it could turn into 9 of 27 shooting, which I'll be fine with, and he probably still hits the total by getting to the line. I expect a big night from Anthony Edwards, a better night from Minnesota Timberwolves offense, a closer game, a more competitive game. That's what I'm thinking tonight.
Donnie, I had a Tuesday card where I was given advice from someone who said, hey, listen, maybe just stick with the WNBA.
Yeah.
Seems like you're good at it. You know, seems like we're wasting money on the NBA. And it was understandable, Donnie, where that advice came in. Anthony Edwards over the 25.5 was the best bet for me. Anthony Edwards barely shot the basketball in the fourth quarter. He took the fourth quarter off. He does that a little too much for my liking. 23 years old. I'm tired of watching him run out of gas.
Yeah.
Here's the deal, though, Donnie. That's not where it gets bad. I had 2 series-long plays. As embarrassing, they're so bad, they're funny, all right?
Yes.
We own up to them. Anthony Edwards for at least 20-plus points in every game of the series, plus 230. Didn't make it out of the opener. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for 1+ made 3 in every game of the series, plus 140. Did not make it out of the opener. And that one, they're not even erasing from the queue. They're going to make me watch it there for the entire series, even though we already know it's seen its fate.
So threes are basically telling you, like, how about this, pal?
Yeah, right. Listen, we'll give you your money back if he finishes
7-game series.
3. So it was bad, man. And here's the deal. I don't mind. I get the Minnesota look. OKC, though, usually they are extenders. Like, you'll be sitting there, and it kind of happened in the game against Minnesota, where you're like, this is close. We're battling. We're down 20. What just happened? Like, I'm not there. It's definitely a recalculate kind of game for me tonight, though, Donnie. Like, listen, we all lose bets. We all get stuff wrong. But truly, like, I was as wrong as I could possibly be entering that basketball game. The brutal part was I like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's rebounds plus assists, but I was a little gun shy on that one. So I just parlayed a couple of, these are insurance legs around it with 2 made 3s from Ant and 1 made 3 from SGA. I lost every bet in the game, and I was like, wow, man, I am just not on this one at all here tonight.
Sometimes it happens. Favorite in the series, OKC, entering into game number 2, minus 750 at FanDuel. So a heavy favorite, and rightfully so. 1-0 series lead, best team in the NBA, home court advantage. Looked very good in the second half of game number 1, and away they go. But how about this? MVP was handed out yesterday, and it turns out it is SGA over Nikola Jokic. He'll get the award tonight, probably right before the game, have some things to say to the fan base tonight, and away they go. Did you have any issues with SGA being the MVP of the NBA?
No, only issue is how long it took. It was really unnecessary from the league. It shouldn't take that long to hand out the award. I don't really know what they were playing at because SGA nearly. But Donnie, a lot of people thought that it was going to be given out either game 2 or game 5 of last round. Like, I know a lot of people were like, "Whoa, game 7, would have been sick." At that point, I actually am almost glad they didn't because that would have been ridiculous.
That's stupid. Exactly.
If before a game 7 we were doing that. They had plenty of other opportunities. Man,
game 1, OKC, Denver, that should have been handed out. Whether or not, I don't care if it was SGA.
Out of order.
If it wasn't, then they would have just gave it in game number 3. Said, Denver, it's your home court tonight. We're announcing this. And then you would have the great storylines, the background, the 7-game series it turns out to be. I'm going to make sure I win the series to prove my MVP, or I didn't get it. Watch me knock the MVP out. Nope, NBA, good job. You missed it. We'll be right back.
Playoffs.
It all comes down to this.
And we'll give give you all the angles to make sure you win a little something something. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
NBA Eastern Conference Final Wednesday in overtime. The Pacers outlasted the Knicks 138-135. 31 points and 11 assists for Tyrese Halliburton. He tied the game on a jumper at the buzzer. The Knicks led by 14 points with under 3 minutes left, but Aaron Nesmith led the charge with a flurry of late three-pointers. Nesmith finished with 30 points, going 8 for 9 from three-point range. Game 2 Friday night at Madison Square Garden. Tonight, Western Conference Final, Game 2, Oklahoma City hosting Minnesota. The Thunder up 1-0. Stanley Cup Playoffs, Western Conference Final Wednesday. Dallas pounded Edmonton 6-3. The Stars scored 5 times in the third period to go up 1-0 in the series. Tonight, Game 2 between the Panthers and the Hurricanes in Raleigh. The defending Stanley Cup champion Panthers up 1-0 in the series. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
The only thing better than a long weekend? A long weekend filled with great deals. And with Kohl's Memorial Day sale, you can get $10 off when you spend $25 or more. Earn $5 Kohl's cash for every $25 spent. And save on must-haves for soaking up the sun. From patio essentials to poolside picks and more. So hurry to Kohl's and kick off your summer with some savings. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. Offers end May 26th. See store or Kohls.com for details.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Let's keep it real.
Baseball
can be boring.
That's where Sports Grid comes in.
Nothing livens up those 9 innings like sports gaming. You might experience something you've never felt in a baseball game, a quickened pulse. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Man, the NBA popping off, going nuts. Another game tonight, Final Four in the NBA. A lot of good storylines. Can the Timberwolves get back into that series? We'll talk a little bit later about the NBA, Kevin, but a lot more hot topics across the sports landscape, which included yesterday, after we had gotten off the show, after I had gotten off the show, the tush push approved. Actually, was it during the show? I can't remember now. It's either, maybe, no, you know what? I don't know if I was on live, because I think they did the whole, we're meeting again, then we're going to meet a third time, and then they came out with it. So I don't know if I was actually on the air live doing that. I don't think I was. See, my memory slipping me. Exactly. Just missed it yesterday. But the Eagles, 2 votes short of banning the tush push. Great work by the social media team for the Eagles. The minute that came out, put up a picture against the Green Bay Packers that had push on, almost like a Nike, type of poster that you would hang out. So the Eagles and the tush push will stay. Some teams not happy, some teams happy about it. But why doesn't everybody use it? I don't know. The optics of the play. Oh, it might get everybody injured. Nobody gets injured. And I use this point because when Roger Goodell puts something out this, hey, guys, for the betterment of the league, you better have this. And most people, you know what, I'll go with the commissioner. If he wants it gone, why fight it? We'll take it away. And it almost passed. But I always like the optics of the play because Frankie Louvu doesn't understand what's going on. He's such a rockhead out there. He jumps over the pile twice. What happens if everybody jumps over the pile twice? You know what happens? You throw the guy out of the football game, and he never does it again, and nobody ever has bad optics. And then you start taking a look at Kevin, bad optics of well, that's not a football play. But, hut hike with 22 seconds left in the game, I can fire the football into the ground next to me. And it's not a intentional grounding play. We do that. Or a screen pass that you spike into the ground. I'm the running back was all the way over on the other sideline. Yeah, but he was in the field of play. He could have actually caught that pass. I never bought anything. If they just would have said it's an unfair advantage to the Philadelphia Eagles, they do it too well, we want it out of the game. You know what? Ban it. Because at least I can have respect for, we can't stop it or do it. I just want this play to be gone.
Yeah, I think the NFL saved face here. I thought the entire push to get rid of this was embarrassing. There's no other way to view it as an attack on the National Football League champs. Let's call it what it is. This was something that they pushed forward, and it was shut down pretty easily last year. And now there was this major ramp up. What changed? The Eagles won the Super Bowl. The Eagles embarrassed the NFC. That's what changed. I mean, it's really not all that difficult to figure out. And, I see some of the, teams, Donnie, and I look at some of the coaches. I think it was the owners at this point who had the vote, but I look at some of the coaches, Donnie, behind those votes, right? Well, this is one of those things where, Ben Johnson shows himself now major concern if you're a Bears fan around him as your head coach.
I love this guy.
I mean, this guy's lost. This guy's lost.
Lost the plot.
Hey, it's 3rd and 1. We're going to run the tush push. He's like, I'd rather hit a Hail Mary. You don't know what you're doing. Again, like people, I send out that tweet, Donnie, but I mean, it's real, right? It's like the Detroit Lions are not out there using analytics. They're just out there going off of just go. They're not doing time and score. They're just going. They're not understanding. To say I don't like the tush push because it's not explosive when the Eagles end up in the end zone on, half of them. I mean, that's just the guy who's lost. It's unfortunate for the Bears because I thought that was a really nice hire. But now we've got a little bit more questions around Ben Johnson. And I'll just say this, all right? And I said it before the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Green Bay Packers. I said it after they beat the Green Bay Packers. And I'll say it again. It's time people start to put actually an eyeball on what Matt LaFleur is doing in Green Bay. Because Matt LaFleur is 0-3 against Nick Sirianni. Now call it 0-4. Matt LaFleur had Aaron Rodgers win multiple MVPs, and they completely underachieved each and every season with their postseason performances. Rodgers left, and everybody thought, well, they're out of luck because no way Jordan Love's going to be good. And then all of a sudden, Jordan Love is pretty solid. They win a game against Dallas. Here's the deal. They choked away the next round against the 49ers. They should have won that game. They didn't. This year, they were completely underwhelming, finished 3rd in their division, and the Eagles abused them, and their offense could barely move the football across midfield. So I'm tired of hearing Matt LaFleur this, Matt LaFleur that. Matt LaFleur's not good enough for the Green Bay Packers as far as these eyes can tell. If he's as good as everybody thinks he is, there's not a lot of evidence to back that up. I'll tell you this right now, man. This whole offseason has been nothing but the Philadelphia Eagles beating this league up and down the field, time and time again. All these people keep losing. Chiefs, Packers, Rams, Sean McVay. We win. Vikings, Lions, all of these teams, Bears. They've just been Commanders. Oh, we got Debo. No one cares. He can't move. Niners pay Purdy $55 million at this point. The Eagles have had a winner's offseason, and Jeffrey Lurie put a stamp on it when he told everybody in there. Usually, Donnie, you walk into one of those meetings, it's like, hey, man, be nice, be smart, get everybody on your side. And he went, and by the way, I won a Super Bowl last year, so take it away. You'll live with that forever. And he dunked on him, and they still didn't vote against him.
That was the best because I was saying, okay, well, this is interesting. Like, Lurie's going to speak. Like, everybody already knows his stance. Bringing in Jason Kelsey, your assistant general manager is going to speak on this. And I'm like saying, is this one of those, like, I know you guys are going to ban this. I'm just going to get these words in now. Here's why you're banning it, and here's why you're not going to be able to deal with it. Because he's so right. He's like, you ban it now, we will go down in infamy. And by the way, we'll still do the play very well. We'll convert 99.8% instead of 99.9%. 3rd and 4th and shorts here at this point. But you ban it, that just lets us know that we built something so unstoppable the NFL can't deal with it, and the only reason to take it away is you absolutely hate us and you hate the play. You leave it in next year, we're going to bounce your heads off the goalpost repeatedly by running this into the end zone and maybe winning another Super Bowl and just drop the mic and walk out, which made me laugh because that's the way you do it. But also understand that the Eagles talked for like an hour telling people why you're not supposed to ban the tush push, and then he probably swayed like a vote or two at that point because we were talking about, or at least the beat writers that are logged in that have a phone line like, boop, boop, boop. Look, I'm not going to say anything. Let me talk to the Bears general manager. Do you like this? Yeah, we're voting the no. Just anonymous sources. Don't worry about it. But okay, I'm going to do a straw poll like the MVP. Like, okay, MVP is going to be Jokic. Oh, looks like it's going to be Jokic now because you got that straw poll behind the scenes. Like, yeah, I'm voting for Jokic. I'm not voting for Embiid back in the day. Same thing. Like, they got that wrong. I was surprised. Which only leads me to believe like there's still some maverick owners out there like, I think the commissioner is going to sway me. Man, you work for me, buddy. Vote this tush push back into play.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I also think that, look, there were teams that were going to vote no that probably let it be known, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And I also think sometimes you don't want to be on the losing side of a vote. They're like, hey, man, everyone who's voting no, leak, and just try and, swing some of those other guys.
Yeah.
That's what people were anticipating there, man. It's a great thing. Now, here's the real question, Donnie. How do we get Packers-Eagles flexed out of Lambeau Field and into the Link? Like, I'm pretty sure with the Packers losing, they should forfeit that as a home game.
True.
That way they have to come to the Link and get booed mercilessly for 4 quarters.
Yeah, man, how much better can the Packers get it, too? Like, granted, they lost at Philadelphia in the playoffs, but the Eagles were the higher-seeded team. Like, the NFL's like, you know what, Packers, we'll help you next year. You don't have to go to the Link twice, just once. We're going to send you down to Brazil on an ice skating rink, see if you can steal a game from the Eagles. Couldn't do it. Now you just go into like the regular season. Couldn't do that either. Now you have in Lambeau, let's get it back. And I'm telling you right now, like the Eagles going into Lambeau and like, Kevin, 2nd and 3s, we got 3 downs to get this first down by tush push. 1st and goal at the 7. Can you imagine, Kevin, the Eagles lining up in the tush push and going from the 7 to the 5 to the 3 like into the end zone? How hilarious that would be and how much the NFL would be upset with that. But I think that the better part would have been to me is, as an Eagles fan, like, yes, you like the tush push. But if they banned it, Kevin, the Eagles would have went on a crusade next year of just quarterbacks sneaking their way to success on purpose. And I would have think it would be hilarious because the wording in there is you can't aid the runner by meaning like, let's push him here. So what the Eagles would have done is, I thought, Kevin, lined up 2 defensive tackles, 1 Jalen Carter, lined them directly over the guard, hike, and have a flying wedge with Jalen Hurts pummel you into the end zone. Like, you can't push the guards now. And they go, well, he doesn't have the football. That's the rule. We got to change the rule. Midnight vote here in the NFL.
Yeah.
You can't push anywhere at any time, no matter what the score or no matter what type of play you're running. More Hot Topics next. That's how we get down, baby.
By the end, you might not have a ring on your finger. Stay tuned and you'll have a little something in your pocket. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Stanley Cup playoffs, Western Conference Final Wednesday. Dallas pounded Edmonton 6-3. The Stars scored 5 times in the third period to go up 1-0 in the series. Tonight, Game 2 between the Panthers and the Hurricanes in Raleigh. The defending Stanley Cup champion Panthers up 1-0 in the series. NBA Eastern Conference Final Wednesday. In overtime, the Pacers outlasted the Knicks 138-135. 31 points and 11 assists for Tyrese Halliburton. He tied the game on a jumper at the buzzer. The Knicks led by 14 points with under 3 minutes left, but Aaron Nesmith led the charge with a flurry of late 3-pointers. Nesmith finished with 30 points, going 8 for 9 from 3-point range. Game 2 Friday night at Madison Square Garden. Tonight, Western Conference Final, Game 2, Oklahoma City hosting Minnesota. The Thunder up 1-0. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Okay, raise your hand if you want to make your life a little bit easier. Great. Now raise your other hand if you like to be comfortable. Perfect. Now that you have both hands raised, imagine putting on your shoes. And that, folks, right there is your answer to an easier, more comfortable life. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. This is footwear you don't need your hands to put on. They can be raised in the air, and you can just step it and go. Why don't you experience what people can't stop talking about? Life-changing Skechers Slip-ins. Get your Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC, used with permission.
Springtime. When a young man's fancy turns to...
Get your mind out of the gutter.
For sports gaming strategies and information that gives you an unfair advantage, you'll find it all right here.
It's the winning edge.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Let's go, baby. Chatbox out here fired up, having some fun. Yes, Victoria said it is a beautiful day out here. Well, I mean, technically it is. I don't know where you're at in the country. Somebody's got to be having a beautiful day today because it ain't in the Northeast where myself and Kevin
certainly
right
not.
Now. 50-degree temperatures, cold rain, ridiculous. Like you're looking at a game in Boston tonight, Kevin, with the temperatures in the 40s and a 20-mile-an-hour wind blowing in with rain. Yeah, how's that game going to play out tonight? You excited about Boston fans? Little Povich, Giolito in the freezing cold. You might as well have snow in that game. Oof, and they have Washington playing at home. That's in the Northeast corridor. It's going to be cold there. You have Pittsburgh over there. Who else do you have here on the East Coast? Well, of course, you have the Yankees coming up at 12:35. Thank goodness Toronto has a dome. That'd be freezing cold up in the 6th for Kolek and Francis. Picked up a dub yesterday. Baseball's been kind to me over the past week, so things starting to turn around. Some measured approaches and some changes here that we've made up that certainly worked in my favor. But we were talking about the NFL's proposals, the tush-push, and how much fun that's going to be next year when the focus is going to be right away opening night, the minute the Eagles do the tush-push against the Cowboys, and how that'll light up the scoreboard and have some fun with. But also, Kevin, Hard Knocks says we're going to go Buffalo Bills, Kevin, and we're also going to go NFC East for the regular season. Now, before I let you answer, Hard Knocks to me does not move the needle anymore like it did. I don't know if I'm maybe just getting a little bit older, but I really just think it is. We see so many highlights. We have so much access to beat writers, so much video put out here. It doesn't hit like it used to. Like when it came out, Kevin, in the early 2000s, I was in my young 20s. What a show it was, man. Every Sunday night you had to watch. But maybe it's bad football teams I don't care about, but now you're throwing me a bone. Like you're getting usually bad football teams, Kevin, right? Going Hard Knocks. I haven't made the playoffs in 6 years, stinky team. It's the Bills, though. I'm thinking I like this, though. Like I might be back in on Hard Knocks.
So off season, real Hard Knocks, let's call it, okay? Real Hard Knocks, I also have kind of lost the oomph for. There was a moment in time where you used to to do this job, Donnie.
Yeah.
You'd have to watch Hard Knocks because it was going to be in your show the next day. Everyone watches Hard Knocks. And that just kind of stopped, Yeah. And with that, maybe the quality of the teams, whatever. The thing is, and I don't know if it is because I'm not saying poor us or complaining. I'm not sure if it's because we work so much already during a football season where I'm like, you know what, I'm good on your Tuesday night in-season Hard Knocks. I'm gonna I'm not doing it. Like I've not watched, Donnie, any of these other things. You know what I never watched? And it's so up my alley. I never watched that Giants off-season thing. I never did.
Not even that. But do you remember, Kevin, the Super Bowl season where the Eagles lost to the Chiefs? The Eagles had the in-season, was Amazon Prime? I didn't watch. Yeah. I have Amazon Prime.
Not a second.
I ordered all the time. I have it on my TV. I never go to it. And the Eagles in a Super Bowl run didn't even move the needle enough for me to actually go check it out, which is why I wanted to bring up Hard Knocks in season. The NFC is going to be a lot of fun. Eagles are champions. Washington's on the come up. The Dallas Cowboys are Dallas, and the Giants looking to, at least get back to some respectability. I know I want to watch it, but I was telling Ben this morning when we were talking about it, it's I just watched the Eagles beat the Cowboys last week. So all the highlights, I need to relive that, or man, I can't wait to see Hard Knocks because the Eagles got upset by the Giants. That doesn't move the needle for me anymore. We just see too much of it at this point where you get your fill where it was once unique. Now it's every team is basically doing their own Hard Knocks with their social media teams.
Yeah, it's a fair point, right? Like with the NFL draft, the Eagles put out a huge video of all their phone. Now, but I watched that video. That had me interested. I don't know.
But it's not an hour show that you have to wait on a Tuesday at 9:00. It's it's out at 3:00. Let me just dip into it here.
The thing is you can always go back and watch it, right? I'll see. I think here's what we will agree on.
Yeah.
If we don't watch these Hard Knocks, we're out. If we're not showing up for Bills real Hard Knocks and NFC East in-season Hard Knocks, it means you're not really going to be able to grab us back in.
How long is that show by 4 teams on one Hard Knocks per week? Well, goodness.
Can I tell you this, though? It's actually a really interesting test. Now as I think about it, I was like, hey, do you want to watch, the in-season Hard Knocks? Well, I don't want to watch the episode where if for some reason the Eagles lost and then we're doing the Jaden Daniels as the face of the league. I have no interest in that. The Jaden Daniels stuff is driving me crazy, by the way. But that might be. I can't deal with the fact that this kid is getting ranked 5th on all these quarterback lists. I think it's crazy.
Sophomore
slump. Some of these rankings, man, they're thoughtless. They really are. It's really annoying to watch. Like, Jaden Daniels had no argument to be the first overall pick. He had an unbelievable season. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But why is everybody now just like, and now he's clearly going to keep getting better? It's like, I don't know. That's what we thought about Stroud. He was worse last year.
Yeah. You get a harder schedule, which the Washington Commanders will have. You're not going to sneak up and be like, man, this guy's really fast. Like, you know how fast he is? Oh, boy, he really likes to roll the pocket to the left here, and he can throw, but he doesn't like to do that to the right. Defensive coordinators are the smartest species on the planet. Don't you remember, Kevin, like this is, when you were probably growing up, the Wildcat formation. Oh, my God. And if I might have to ban this. Within 16 months, not a single person ran it anymore because the defense figured it out. You can run here, here, and here, but you can't do this. All right, end the story. Never saw it again. Like, oh, my God. Like, you could just run a powerful running back and don't need a quarterback. They figure it out. Hey, whatever, we just run nonstop no-huddle offense like the Buffalo Bills in the 1990s. The reason why they don't do it anymore, it doesn't work, and defenses have figured out how to play it. Buddy Ryan's 46 defense, you can't defend that. Look at the Chicago Bears. They're killing everybody, the best defense of all time. In 5 years, the 46 defense was out of football. Why? This team's like, oh, the safety and the linebacker going to blitz here. Boop, 7-yard game. Boop, 9-yard game. Boop, blown coverage. All right, we can't run the 46 anymore. Like, they figure it out, and they do. I'm interested to see what Washington has this year because, again, the expectations are you're always supposed to take the next step the next year. But the NFL always has that ace up the sleeves like, you guys were good last year? All right. This year, tough schedule, number 2 seed that you were, or number 2 schedule right behind the Eagles. Yeah, we got you figured out now. We'll be able to get after it. So that's something to certainly keep an eye on. But football, again, getting closer here. We're closer to the month of June, even if it is freezing cold temperatures here in the Northeast and a Major League Baseball schedule. It is kind of interesting, a shorter card today. The Yanks, Kevin, in your neck of the woods, cold temperatures, under last night, which I like, stayed under 4-3. Thank you, Jason Dominguez, for that home run. We'll close the show down next with one final segment. The people popping in the chat box, having some fun. Everybody's participating. Why? This is the Sports Grid Network. It's just what we do.
We don't care what your high school girlfriend told you. You are a winner.
Or at least you will be if you keep it here.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
The new Sports Grid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the Sports Grid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the Sports Grid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
For anyone who's worried about back taxes, has not filed tax returns, and doesn't know what to do next, stop and listen. Not filing your taxes can have severe consequences, especially in this political climate. Now that COVID is over, the IRS is getting aggressive, massively increasing enforcement and collection efforts. With politicians making all sorts of promises, especially when it comes to taxes, hiding and not dealing with your taxes will cause you harsh legal and financial ramifications. But right now, the IRS offers forgiveness and writes off a massive amount of tax debt. The Tax Doctor offers a free service that helps people get out of IRS collections and back in good standing with the government. Don't hide or bury your head in the sand. Take advantage of our free service. Call now to learn more. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. 800-816-4492. That's 800-816-4492.
Carver and Lisi.
Did he get it, Joe? Did Hoskins
Whatever.
get it? Did he get it? Did he get it? Oh, this is another one.
They're not using the Goldilocks balls. They're not using the Goldilocks balls. You could tell the balls aren't carrying. Manford, just own up to it. Let us all know you're using the styrofoam middles. Every single game, the balls don't carry.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Weekdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. On the Sports Grid Radio Network. If you want to be an alpha,
You've got to get the winning edge.
it's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory.
With the winning edge.
You're in the big leagues. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Right back at it, people. One final segment on a Thursday. If you headed to, by the way, a Memorial Day weekend, which brings up good topics here, Kevin. Usually Memorial Day here, at least in the Northeast, it's warmer temperatures. People start to head down the shore or the beach, as some people might call it, and you hit the boardwalk and It's sort of the start of your summer. Not great temperatures. I believe it's supposed to warm up a little bit on Sunday and Monday, but not as warm as you can take a swim and have all that fun. But anything's planned for you this weekend? Any cookouts, any barbecues, any special places? Like, are you doing anything this weekend?
I am trying to figure out if I can open the pool.
It's not open
weather,
yet? A lot of people got it open around these parts. Yeah.
I'm aware. It kind of has the house, wanting to get it underway.
Yep.
But weather's not great. Here's the thing. Never opened a pool before. So, can we figure it out on our own? Do we have to make a phone call? So, that is what we're trying to figure out right now as far as the weekend goes. Do you have any? Oh, also I'm working Sunday 8 to 11 with Coach. I think we have game 3 of Knicks Pacers.
Oh, so Sunday night 8 to 11?
Yeah. I'm doing the Saturday morning and then the Sunday night.
Yeah. I have obviously the baseball show on Sunday, so it's sort of I can't be like, hey, let me dip out of here on a Friday and I'll be back on like Tuesday if I wanted to. But again, I'm for one like this. X-Man says, by the way, Virginia Beach for the weekend. Like, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Like, at least Virginia Beach probably going to be nice. Kevin, there are 3 days. Like, my parents, like my father had for a long time a shore house in Summers Point right on the bay. For a long time, my mom currently has a place in Brigantine Beach in New Jersey. You can't pay me enough money, Kevin, to get me down the shore on Memorial Day, Labor Day, or the 4th of July weekend. Even if I have a place to stay, you cannot get me there. I don't like the crowds. Like, my wife, she will be like, why aren't we going this weekend? Like, why aren't we going on the boardwalk? 4th of July, Saturday. Why don't we go to the boardwalk? Like, are you insane? Like, yes, she doesn't care.
I expect better from her. I really do. No, I think
like, she doesn't care. Yeah, she doesn't care about the crowds. And I am the opposite. Like, I would like to go in like early May. Like, well, you can't go there. So what? Nobody's down there. I want to go in like on September, Saturday. Like, hey, it's less crowded there. The wife doesn't care. You want like Memorial Day weekend, Memorial Day. She'll be like, why don't we go down? Like, what?
Listen here, okay? There's a couple of ice cream shops that the fiance and I hit. We're like, this is gonna get a little crazy once it hits June, July. Good timing now. All right, which you can appreciate. You know what I mean? You got a time. Now, here's the other question. The pizza that you had, was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
Yesterday. Had it for lunch, yeah.
It looked incredible.
It is incredible pizza. Brico.
It looked,
it's incredible pizza.
It's on one really, really fantastic.
Portnoy's hit it before. It's fantastic. By the way, their cheesesteak's sensational. Like, always a great meal.
Whoa.
Pizza, if you serve an unbelievable cheesesteak, which they do, and a very good pizza, which they do, it's an unbeatable combination. And they make great pasta. Like, it's a great place.
It's going to be a drive from me, though, right? Like, I'd have to figure out.
It is
maybe if I ever get invited to the right side estates, we can order in.
Like that place for me, Kevin, is a lot. Like when I drive, which is again, like hopefully it doesn't happen this year again, where the Eagles are playing and it's halftime by the time I get home. Like that is a staple where I'm picking up on my way through, on my way home.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I also just quickly. Pacers Knicks yesterday had a ton of money inside of it because of the overtime and big performances from key players.
Yes.
Do you know that I had a nice little 4-1, Donnie? We'll lay it all out there. Profit boost. So 50 to win like 200. Brunson for 20. Just keep it simple.
Yep. Keep
Halliburton double-double.
Easy. Yep.
And Josh Hart for a double-double. 13 rebounds, 7 assists, 8 points. I don't know if I've ever lost a double-double bet because a guy didn't get points but got a different category.
Yes, and
I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Like,
and Donnie was sitting on 8 points the whole time. He took the first 2 shots of overtime, by the way. I'm still annoyed about it.
And the worst part about it is, like, you see that shot go up, you're like, here's my chance, and it misses. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get another chance. Then you get another chance. It's like when we bet that guard in March Madness. Like, yeah, he should pick up 5 points down the stretch just by getting fouled. My guy never even got back in the game. Who was that, by the way? Who was the guard that we bet to score points down the stretch, and it wasn't Baylor's team. Who was it? It was a guard on one of those teams. St. John? No, it wasn't St. John's. I would have to remember this. But those are the feelings, like, you have a good plan laid out. It's like, I don't know if I'm going to get another opportunity. Only have the player not actually play. Yeah, it happened. The way it is.
RJ Lewis when Patino benched him?
No, it wasn't RJ Lewis. It was another player on another team. I'll find it.
Yeah.
In our quote-unquote all season. JP behind the wheels of steel, Donnie right side, Kevin Walsh. Tomorrow's a Friday. He's back.
What makes life worth living.
Actionable insights, analysis, odds, and expert perspective on sports gaming.
It's with Nesmith finished with 30 points, going 8 for 9 from three-point range. Game 2 Friday night at Madison Square Garden. Tonight, Western Conference Final, Game 2, Oklahoma City hosting Minnesota. The Thunder up 1-0. Stanley Cup Playoffs, Western Conference Final Wednesday. Dallas pounded Edmonton 6-3. The Stars scored 5 times in the third period to go up 1-0 in the series. Tonight, Game 2 between the Panthers and the Hurricanes in Raleigh. The defending Stanley Cup champion Panthers up 1-0 in the series. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
The only thing better than a long weekend? A long weekend filled with great deals. And with Kohl's Memorial Day sale, you can get $10 off when you spend $25 or more. Earn $5 Kohl's cash for every $25 spent. And save on must-haves for soaking up the sun. From patio essentials to poolside picks and more. So hurry to Kohl's and kick off your summer with some savings. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. Offers end May 26th. See store or Kohls.com for details.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
If you want to be an alpha,
you've got to get the winning edge.
It's kind of a necessary ingredient if you want to lead the pack. So mark your territory
with the winning edge.
You're in the big leagues. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle. It is FFC, all a part of the Sports Grid Radio Network and Sirius XM Channel 159. He is the mastermind of the pigskin. That is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. Joe's least favorite week of the year in football has now officially come to a close. The NFL owner meetings in Minneapolis are done, with a lot to discuss from the Twin Cities. We will continue to break down the tush push and its survival in the National Football League and everything that was discussed and even some that was voted on around the NFL for 2025. We've got a new team on Hard Knocks, the training camp rendition this upcoming August. We'll break that down, and we'll talk a little college football here on FFC on this Thursday as well. Lisa Guy, what a show we have in store up until 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, we have a lot of storylines, right? And I don't know if you saw the latest with Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson and that situation with his ex, out there in Nantucket. And the unfortunate passing of Indianapolis owner Jim Irsay last night. That was unfortunate. And, deep condolences to him and his family. And, we talk about the tush push as it relates to being potentially banned on yesterday's show, and 2 votes away, and the Philadelphia Eagles wouldn't be able to do it in terms of this upcoming season. But you saw what the Eagles did in terms of the troll, right, out there on their social media. They're getting ready to do it early, often, and teams are going to have to stop it because this is the best team in the NFL right now, best odds potentially to win a Super Bowl, and I think they step up and potentially get it done again in 2025.
And again, Joe, the tush push ban falling by just 2 votes allows the tush push to still be a part of the conversation in the National Football League. What does it mean for the Eagles? Is it an early offseason victory for Philadelphia? We shall discuss. But, Joe, let's start with that sad and unfortunate news from last night. The Indianapolis Colts releasing a statement that Colts owner Jim Irsay has passed away at the age of 65. He was the sole owner of Indianapolis since 1997, but his father owned the team back when they played in Baltimore. Jim Irsay himself, the youngest GM in Colts franchise history when they made the move to Indianapolis in 1984. He was only 25 years old. A unique, charismatic, and complex character, Joe, as NFL owners go in the National Football League. But there was no doubt how passionate Jim Irsay was about the city of Indianapolis and his franchise, sadly passing away at the age of 65.
Yeah, and one of the most outspoken owners, right? You think about owners that are vocal. It's Irsay potentially, and obviously Jerry Jones is two of the front runners out there that, make it known their views and thoughts about not just the game, but potentially certain players. Obviously, Irsay had the negotiation in the offseason with Jonathan Taylor. He was in the news regarding that. But, this is a team, and when you look at the Indianapolis Colts, that has young talent potentially that could take it to the next level. They've been close in terms of knocking down that playoff door, and we'll see how they rally around their owner, right? It'll stay in the family. He's got a lot of kids and grandchildren, so we'll see what this means for the organization moving forward. But again, Jim Irsay, the good, the bad, and the ugly as it relates to the off-the-field situation and being an owner in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely so, Joe. Outspoken indeed. Philanthropic in how he approached all of the money that he made from his Colts franchise. There is no doubt about it. His daughter, Carly Irsay Gordon, is expected to assume control of the team, at least here in the immediate aftermath of her father's passing. 65 years old, Joe, but when he became that sole owner in 1997, of course, that was the start of Peyton Manning making his way to the National Football League and really ushered in a new era of success for this Colts organization under his guidance since 1997, a Super Bowl championship in the 2006 campaign, back in Super Bowl 41 for Indianapolis. 10 times a divisional champion since 1997 in the Andrew Luck era, and of course, under Peyton Manning. They won 7 of 8 divisional crowns in the AFC South from a span of 2003 through 2010. A ton of success, Joe, for this Colts franchise that really mirrored the success of Indianapolis as a sports hosting destination. Again, an owner who is incredibly passionate for his franchise, for his city. Jim Irsay will be remembered for all that he did in the NFL and for Indy.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, he had potentially this team on the cusp with some young talent, like I mentioned, to potentially challenge for a South title and maybe get back to a wild card or a playoff appearance. And again, he has put players there that have excelled, right? And you think about the former head coaches that he has had there. Again, he recognizes talent, not just from the quarterback position, but from a head coach position. And again, this team is poised for success. How do they rally behind this passing? Only time will tell. But again, this is a stable organization now. It's staying in the family, and we'll see, what the family could do in terms of elevating the success over the next couple of years.
We shall see, Joe. Jim Irsay again, sadly passing away at the age of 65. Other news, of course, in the National Football League at the owner meetings in Minneapolis this past week. And of course, Joe, the hot button topic, the tush push and the Green Bay Packers proposal to ban such a play. Yesterday on Football Full Circle, Scott Wetzel and myself were live when we learned the result of the votes that the Packers proposal had fallen two yes votes short of needing the necessary 24 of 32 NFL owners to gain that supermajority and bring this rule proposal into legislation in the NFL. 22 yeses, but 10 no's. So the tush push survives. Lisi, what was your reaction to the tush push still being allowed in the NFL?
I'm happy about it because, again, it's a football play. Some argue it's more of a rugby play, but ultimately it's a quarterback sneak. And we talked about it, especially from a defensive perspective. You don't want to get abused by the tush push. Don't allow the Philadelphia Eagles to be in third down or fourth down short situations. Stop the offense as it relates to the rushing and passing attack. If you do that, you'll never have to worry about the tush push again, right? And it's ironic that the Packers are the one team, really pushing forward from that when they couldn't even win a division title and lost both games to the Lions, right? The Lions should be ultimately the team they're looking to beat, not so much the Philadelphia Eagles. Hope that you get there. And I keep going back to this. The game that they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles had nothing to do with the tush push. It had to be that their offense and defensive lines were abused by a better group in the Philadelphia Eagles. And until that changes, they're not going to close the gap on the Eagles to win a Super Bowl.
And of course, Joe, there were the natural jokes that the vote failed 22-10. What was the final score of that opening round playoff game and the Eagles beating the Packers en route to winning a Super Bowl? 22-10 in Philadelphia. But Joe, one of the great things about such a hot button topic is we got some great reporting yesterday from the inside sources inside the room in that suburban Minneapolis hotel about how this all played out. Jeffrey Lurie speaking for nearly an hour, the Eagles owner trying to make an impassioned plea to his fellow NFL owners to keep the tush push alive, basically saying, if you ban it, we'll find another way to dominate. If you ban it, you are risking the safety of our quarterbacks in what is the safest play. Even made a comparison, Joe, almost like a Lisi quote, that it's the wet dream of every teenage boy. Don't get mad at me. Jeffrey Lurie's word, quote, the wet dream of every teenage boy, end quote, to invent a play so successful in the NFL, the league tries to ban it.
Yeah, again, they've perfected it. That's it. Other teams can run it, and we keep going to the Buffalo Bills and their quarterback, Josh Allen. If they emulated that play, they'd be successful just as much as the Eagles. They just don't know how to run it.
Exactly so, Joe. We'll talk about the implications of this ruling and the vote as well, because are they overly significant to Philadelphia's quest for a title defense? Probably not. But does it feel like a win early? Probably yes. More on FFC next.
4 out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on Sports Grid. And we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin.
He just gives that vibe.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
With the Sports Grid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg.
This update brought to you by Sky Rizzy. The U.S. government has delivered its first monthly surplus in its 2025 fiscal year, the second largest monthly surplus in history. In April, the U.S. government spent $591.8 billion while collecting $850.2 billion, creating a monthly budget surplus of $258.4 billion. The last monthly surplus was around a $300 billion surplus in April 2022. The popular video game Fortnite has returned to the iPhone App Store in the U.S. Fortnite hailed its app's long-awaited restoration to the iPhone and iPad in a Tuesday post, marking the first time it will be available on those devices since it was ousted in 2020 for trying to avoid the 15 to 30% commissions that Apple collects on in-app transactions. Apple said the dispute that had been keeping Fortnite off its iOS software for the iPhone had been resolved.
I'm Trey Westerberg with the Sports Grid News Flash.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your RV wins.
What, are you going to take the RV to the mountains or go pick up your dry cleaning?
RV wins!
Are we cleaning the gutters or taking the RV camping?
RV wins!
Are we getting a new passport or cruising up the coast?
RV wins!
Don't forget, you got that trip to Sweden coming up.
Oh, yeah, passport, then RV.
With Progressive, you can bundle your RV with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings in your RV. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
Something amazing is happening in networking. Organizations are scaling with less stress. That's because CDW is designing and implementing intelligent HPE Aruba networking solutions that simplify and secure operations. With automation at the center of your data center, growing pains can be a thing of the past. HPE Aruba Networking and CDW. Make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Aruba.
There's something you should know and always remember.
Sports Grid does not increase luck.
We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck,
go find a horseshoe.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC. He is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens, discussing the big news this week in Minneapolis at the NFL owners meeting. The proposal to ban the tush push did not pass, falling 2 votes shy of the necessary 24 for a supermajority around the NFL. And Joe, as we shared, we got some great details about how this vote occurred yesterday in the Twin Cities. The impassioned speech for nearly an hour out of Jeffrey Lurie, the Eagles owner, including his crude joke. He brought in his most famous center, who was an anchor of the early portions of the tush push. That would be Jason Kelce, who shared with owners that he would run the tush push 60 times a game if he could. Whatever the Eagles did yesterday or in the lead up to the owner meetings this week in Minneapolis, Joe, it worked just enough because 9 other teams, along with Philadelphia, voted no against this proposal to ban the tush push. Those 9 other teams joining the Eagles: Ravens, Browns, Lions, Jaguars, Dolphins, Saints, Jets, and the Tennessee Titans. Those were the 10 no's that kept the proposal from being successful.
Yeah, and again, I'm happy that they voted for that, because if you love the game of football and you love defense as a whole, you want to see the defense stop the offense. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's a 4th and short situation. You could go back years. How about the college game? We remember LeVar Arrington jumping over the pile to stop Illinois back in the day, an iconic stop on a 4th and goal or a 3rd and goal type of situation. And I understand it's an outlier for the most part, but at the end of the day, it still gives the defense an opportunity to make a stop. And these are elite athletes. This is the top. It doesn't get more sophisticated and elite than the NFL. So if you can't stop it at that, just shows you how good the Philadelphia Eagles run it. So again, I'm happy that 10 teams voted no. The Eagles, again, whether they had the tush push or not, are the team to beat this season, not just from what they have from an offensive perspective, but that defensive front is dominant. Until that changes, teams are going to have to deal with it this season.
Yeah, absolutely so, Joe. And when you look at how this all played out, again, some further reporting that the league office, and namely Commissioner Roger Goodell, did not like this play optically, thinking it was ugly or not a true football play. You shake your head, and I completely agree, because the optics of trying to ban the tush push immediately after the Eagles win a Super Bowl and a Lombardi Trophy in Super Bowl 59, not a great look for the league. And Joe, it really only was optically that we had garnered some support to ban the tush push. What do I mean by that? Well, there was no data, no facts and figures that supported this was a more dangerous play than any other in the violent sport that is football. In fact, Dr. Alan Sills, who is the chief medical officer for the NFL, wasn't even at the meetings this week in Minnesota. A red flag for some that were basically like, okay, so there's not actually a health risk here or an increased safety risk on this play. So what exactly are we doing? And then oftentimes, if a rule is put in place, it's to get rid of a competitive advantage that everybody, all 32 NFL teams, are exploiting in the rules and regulations. Everybody can run the tush push, but not everybody does. And nobody does it as successfully, of course, Joe, as the Philadelphia Eagles. Since they put the tush push in place at the beginning of 2022, of course, in that span, the Eagles have won 2 NFC championships, played in 2 Super Bowls, winning a Lombardi Trophy. The Eagles have run their quarterback, namely Jalen Hurts, but their quarterback on a 1 yard to go situation 122 times, resulting in 30 touchdowns and 105 first downs. That's the most in the NFL. So the Eagles capitalize on this play. But as Nick Sirianni told us at the earlier spring meetings in Florida at the end of March and early April, he kind of resented the fact, Joe, that people thought the Eagles were using a cheapo play. The Eagles have invested in this play being successful, in a quarterback who can squat 600 pounds, in a heavily invested offensive line that is highly paid and highly regarded, with one of the best O-line coaches in the NFL in Jeff Stoutland. They have spent so many hours in practice on precisely crafting this play to have success. They have invested in it in the way that any other team had the accessibility to put their resources behind this play as well. And yet they have not to the level of success for Philadelphia. So that, to me, is optically the interesting part of this scenario. The tush push lives, which feels like a win for the Birds, but it could be a win for all 32 NFL franchises.
Yeah, exactly. And we talk about Jalen Hurts, and we know that he's a workout warrior, just like Saquon Barkley. He's a mobile quarterback, but you could take it and look at it in the sense of, again, I'll look at one quarterback, Josh Allen, 6'5", 235, 240 pounds, mobile. And you're telling me if Buffalo didn't invest the same time and ingenuity into pushing Josh Allen on a 4th and goal or a 4th and short situation, that they wouldn't be just as successful? They don't need it, let's say, as much. It's not that as much as their offensive identity as maybe it is for the Philadelphia Eagles, but they could certainly implement it along with other teams, right? There are very dominant offensive lines in the NFL. Detroit has one. Kansas City, you can make the argument, has one, in the AFC, but they failed to use that play because they choose other options. It's not that they can't use it. They just choose not to use it. So again, and Roger Goodell saying that he's upset. The NFL put these rules in place where, it used to be where you couldn't push a ball carrier, forward. They changed that rule. What did you expect? And I'm not giving the Eagles bashing them, but you put in rules and they're playing by the rules. Why are you then penalizing them or trying to hurt them for success? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, about 20 years ago, Joe, there was a rule in place that was changed in 2004 that you could now push and pull the ball carrier. That was not always the case in the National Football League, to which everybody for the past 2 decades has had the opportunity to run something of the sort. The Eagles have found their way, found their success. So whether it should just be individually for Philadelphia, the Birds got a win yesterday. Does it galvanize a team in their Super Bowl defense? We shall discuss, looking at the odds for the Birds entering 2025 up next on Football Full Circle.
There's smart.
And there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Keep it here.
And win. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. The Sports Grid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1968, Pittsburgh Pirates future Hall of Famer Willie Stargell hits 3 home runs in a 13-6 rout of the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Pops hit 475 career home runs and won League MVP and World Series MVP in 1979.
Willie Stargell explodes one out of here to deep right center field.
For Sports Grid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Flying construction robots coming soon to a building site near you. Swiss researchers have found that precision flying construction robot drones, similar technology to that used to create those beautiful synchronized aerial displays, can be used to precisely position large objects, assisting construction workers at great heights. Synchronized drone swarms autonomously constructing entire buildings in remote locations, hazardous conditions, even cutting down on construction accidents. Ouch. Follow me at Capalbo on X and stay tuned to the Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Moneyline.
Miles McBride, coach, come on, man. 6.5 points in game number 1. A couple triples from deep. And by the way, just to let you know, give me somebody way down that list. Maybe a TJ McConnell or even a Josh Hart at this point. Who exceeds expectations for game number 1 that we can dabble in?
Deuce could get loose. I think Deuce can get loose and knock down a couple of threes.
Catch Moneyline with Donnie Rightside and Kevin Walsh. Weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific. On the Sports Grid Radio Network. There comes a point when the chips are down.
To coin a phrase.
When the only thing you can do is stop and wait. Do you want to face that moment prepared?
Or rely on luck?
Get the winning edge. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC. As we have shared, the tush push has become the brotherly shove in Philadelphia. The The Eagles do it better and more consistently than any other team around the National Football League. But just because the tush-push survives in the NFL does not only directly impact the Eagles or potentially benefit the Birds, but, Joe, on their Super Bowl defense, it felt like an early offseason win in the city of Philadelphia. Here are the odds for the Eagles as they embark on that title defense in 2025. The win total, 11.5. The under, a slight bit of juice. Philadelphia, the fourth most difficult schedule based on projected win totals entering the 2025 campaign. But they are the odds-on favorites. Minus 145 to win the NFC East. Shortest price to win the NFC Championship, plus 330. And once again, the favorites to win Super Bowl 60 at plus 650. The tush-push really is not going to have much of an impact on these preseason odds for the overall outlook for Philadelphia. But there's a little bit of gung-ho, heck yeah, we won the day, certainly in that locker room and within the organization at the moment.
Yeah, it's like they're in everybody's heads in the NFC, right? You know, if you're the Packers and you're a perennial contender and you're trying to obviously make the playoffs and challenge the best team in the NFL, you're lobbying so hard like this is going to make or break your season. It's like ridiculous now. And, you know, if you're the Eagles, you got to say, you know what? Everybody fears us now, right? They know they can't stop us. And as long as we're healthy, we're as good as obviously any team in the league, and we could dominate. What did they rip off? 15 of 16 or 16 of 17 wins after they started 2-2 overall? They dominated everybody. And again, you know, is anything going to change? No, if not, if anything, that defense might be a little bit stronger now. We don't know. You know, another year coming in and knowing the pieces that they have and how they drafted accordingly, they could step up and just dominate the NFL and be a top 5 unit again. So
yeah,
it's very difficult. As long as they're healthy, I believe they're the best team. $650 to me is a very good price. Unless they start like a Joe Burrow or a Cincinnati type of start, I think it's only going to get shorter. So for me, I think they're the best team to repeat. I like the $650 value, and I like them at 3-1 at the start of the year when they put out the odds to win the NFC again.
Yeah, San Francisco, Joe, has reached the NFC Championship 4 of the previous 6 seasons. Philadelphia has reached it now 2 of the last 3. But unlike the Niners, who have only appeared in 2 Super Bowls, Philadelphia's hit rate of NFC Championship success, actually winning that title, much higher. And the Eagles, of course, have a Super Bowl trophy to show off in their hardware case to make it all good. Joe, to me, again, Philadelphia is the team to beat, standing atop the mountain in the NFC, now on that perch until somebody knocks them off. The NFC East, we expect to be a little bit better than it was a season ago. Can the Dallas Cowboys get back to their median, at least where they have regular season success, contending for that divisional crown? Of course, we know the large step the Commanders made entering 2024, hoping to replicate that success and even more growth with Jaden Daniels in year number 2 in 2025. And the Giants are probably going to finish last, 4th in the division, Joe, but they're not necessarily a doormat. The win total 5.5, the under has the juice. But I think we all believe the Giants can at least be a small thorn in maybe their divisional opponents' sides in 2025. It should be noted, although the Birds, correctly so, are a minus money favorite at minus 145 to win the division in the NFC East. It's that quirky, weird trend in this division that since 2004, now 21 years, nobody has been a repeat champion, gone back-to-back in the NFC East. Again, since 2004, that's 2 decades of a very long sample size.
Yeah, and think about, you know, for the teams that you mentioned outside the Eagles in the East, do we believe Dallas with a first-year head coach and that defense are going to challenge? Most likely not. The only team on paper that you could say could step up, I believe, is Washington. And when you look at the 2 games last year in the regular season and including the championship game, they were abused in the interior for the most part. Now, the game that Washington won was with Kenny Pickett basically for 3 quarters, right? Philly had a 14-0 lead before Jalen Hurts got hurt. So barring any major injury, I think the Eagles knocked down that door. But for me, Ben, the better bet is the Super Bowl over the division.
Yeah, I completely agree, Joe, right? The long-term success, because we do feel Philadelphia at a minus 430 price, sees the postseason in one form or fashion. We'll continue to go around the NFL next on Football Full Circle.
The winning edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. Longtime Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay has passed away at the age of 65. He assumed principal ownership of the Colts at 37 years old after the death of his father, Bob. That was in 1997. He oversaw a period of success for the franchise. They're the sixth winningest organization in the NFL since he became the owner. Under his watch, the Colts advanced to a pair of Super Bowls, winning after the 2006 season. The team announced that Irsay passed away peacefully in his sleep on Wednesday afternoon. NBA Eastern Conference Final Wednesday in overtime, the Pacers outlasted the Knicks 138-135. Game 2 Friday night at Madison Square Garden. Tonight, Western Conference Final, Game 2, Oklahoma City hosting Minnesota. The Thunder up 1-0. NHL West Final, Dallas beat Edmonton 6-3 to go up 1-0. Tonight, East Final Game 2, Florida up 1-0 on Carolina. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like fences. A house with a big yard and a white picket fence was always the dream. But then you saw the price to install a fence and you're wondering if the color is driving the price up. Nobody ever dreams of a beige or a gray picket fence, right? So maybe those fences are cheaper. But no, they're not. Then you remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds and make all your dreams of a fence come true. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
It's me, Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. I see those dry elbows, baby. But don't worry. Get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated you can skip the lotion after.
Don't want to see it dry no more. Skin so moisturized with body wash.
Look at you now. No more dry skin. Your skin gets the moisture it craves with
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
You're listening to Sports Grid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The winning edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle. It is FFC. Joe, a ton to break down, of course, from the NFL owner meetings this week in Minneapolis. We've kind of gone over all of the proposed rule changes, those that came to a vote, those that reached a decision. Playoff format will remain the same. The onside kick changed ever so slightly in hopes of making it a more successful play. We have talked at length about NFL players being permitted to participate in the 2028 Olympic Games in flag football. A couple of other updates yesterday, Joe, from the owners' meeting. Let's start with Hard Knocks, the training camp edition with the Buffalo Bills this upcoming August on HBO. Buffalo, Joe, they will be the focus of Hard Knocks this upcoming year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great, organization and a team on the cusp of a Super Bowl. And basically, I want to say, like an under-the-radar team from just an out, social perspective. You have Josh Allen. Well, you have Josh Allen, but outside of that, it's an organization, even though they're in technically New York market, that we don't know a lot about. Sean McDermott isn't outspoken like some of the other head coaches in the league. And again, you could say he's more, maybe a little bit too quiet, almost like Belichick-like in terms of with the media, right? He watches his P's and Q's. Maybe this will give us an inside perspective about where the team stands and maybe even bring more optimism to Buffalo and even the fan perspective. The fans love Josh Allen, but we don't know about James Cook. Will he be there? Will he be gone? Ty Johnson, some of those other players. That's hopefully what we get to see. And you think about some of the other teams that have been in Hard Knocks, I feel like those players are more notable than outside of the Buffalo Bills, star players.
You get that Hard Knocks bump, the attention and the notoriety that comes from it. I'm not sure the Buffalo Bills need that bump in terms of optimism because when you look at their season odds outlook for 2025, Joe, it's as good as you will find around the National Football League. Highest win total for all of the NFL this year resides in Western New York. The Bills at 11.5. The over has the hefty juice at minus 140. Now, part of that is the division that Buffalo has dominated the last half decade, 5 consecutive AFC East divisional titles. In Joe, a division this year that is not nearly as strong as the past few. We thought with Aaron Rodgers being there in New York the last 2 seasons, Buffalo would get a test to a Tagovailoa, and that a dynamic offense of the Dolphins would be on the rise. And then the New England Patriots, of course, stumbling the last few years. This year, Joe, 11.5 the win total for the Bills. The over at minus 140. Again, that heavy vig. Everybody else around the AFC East, a win total of 8.5 or less than that. And even the 8.5 for Miami, the under has considerable juice. 7.5 for New England, 5.5 for the New York Jets. The Buffalo Bills should roll once again to their 6th consecutive AFC East crown. But Joe, as we know, as they are booked as a minus 230 favorite, best price of any team to win any of the 8 divisions around the National Football League, that's not the question for Sean McDermott, Josh Allen, and the rest of the Bills. It is finally winning the AFC Championship and at least appearing in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, again, until they get to the Super Bowl, just like Lamar Jackson and Baltimore, they're going to have to answer the critics, right? You could have a great regular season team, but until you step up and obviously knock off Kansas City or whoever you face in an AFC championship, you're going to have to answer the critics and say that it was an underachieving season. You know, the Buffalo Bills, we know, can dominate the AFC East. And again, I think when you look at the East as a whole, obviously New England's still in a rebuild. I don't expect them to challenge Buffalo. Miami, I'm sold on them, especially from a defensive perspective. The one team I think that's on the upswing but still can't challenge for a division championship is the New York Jets. So, you know, we know Buffalo with Josh Allen, as long as he's healthy, is going to be an 11, 12, or 13-win football team. But can the defense and can this team just overcome all of the negativity as it surrounds in the postseason? If they have the opportunity to face Kansas City or, let's say, Baltimore in a championship setting, can they close the door and get it done and make their way to the Super Bowl? If they do that, they have a great shot, obviously, to win it with Josh Allen at the helm.
And in this 5-year run, Joe, the Buffalo has won the AFC East championship each of those 5 seasons. The Bills have won at least 11 regular season games, 13 exactly in 3 of the last 5 years, including last season at 13-4. They have played in 2 AFC championship games in this 5-year span. They have come up short in Kansas City against the Kansas City Chiefs each of those 2 times. In fact, 4 times in this 5-year window, Buffalo has been bounced from the postseason by their arch AFC nemesis in the Chiefs. It is part of what leaves me scratching my head ever so slightly that Kansas City has the 3rd best price to win the AFC Championship entering 2025. Baltimore the favorite at plus 360. They're 10 cents in front of Buffalo at plus 370, who is 50 cents in front of the Chiefs at plus 420. Because the only team that has beaten Kansas City in the Patrick Mahomes era in an AFC Championship is Tom Brady and the Patriots, and currently Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson have both faltered in their opportunities to slay that AFC dragon. So the fact that not that it's that they cannot get it done, Joe, but the fact they are priced in front of Kansas City and there is no value with shorter numbers on either the Ravens or the Bills, that's what's astounding to me.
Yeah, and again, you know, we talked about how, you know, I want to say not equal, but, you know, stronger the AFC West has become with Bo Nix and Denver and Justin Herbert with Harbaugh. So that maybe, you know, maybe Kansas City will be challenged more so this year than in recent years to win a division and maybe not get home field. But it's not even so much, and I get it, like it's Lamar and it's Josh Allen from, you know, answering the critics. But as much as it's Lamar and it's Josh, it's still Sean McDermott and Harbaugh. Now, Harbaugh won a Super Bowl back in the day with Flacco, but every opportunity he has had, it seems like his game plan or what he does, he doesn't have the team ready. both of those coaches have to answer the bell too, because now the pressure's on.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Joe. And you're spot on in that. It's the head coaches, it's the organization, and of course, often squarely, fair or not, it is that quarterback spot. And there's no doubt that the up-and-coming nature of the AFC West, 3 playoff teams last year, including the Chiefs, who won the division for a 9th consecutive season, part of that is because they expect to be challenged by the Chargers and the Broncos, and even the Raiders not being abhorrently awful this upcoming season, provide a tougher test for KC in that division than Buffalo in the AFC East. The Ravens still playing in the AFC North, I don't find to be necessarily the easiest division, but still they are booked as the AFC title favorites. Elsewhere, Joe, some other NFL news from a Wednesday. When we look at where things are, a new reward for the National Football League in 2025. The best offensive lineman each and every NFL season will now be officially known as the Protector of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, Protector of the Year. I mean, it's great. You know, that's you know, you got to love that. You know, the NFL comes up with, you know, new ways and you know, new mantras and new ways of honoring players, and that's what it's all about. But at the end of the day, we'll see what it means in the grand scope of things.
Right. We've got MVP, we've got Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year, AP Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year. How about a little love for the Hog? Not yet.
Would you bet on it?
I think we will. I think we will be able to. Like, the odds have to be posted, right? I would set right now Tristan Wirfs, maybe as that favorite. Penei Sewell. Who would you make the favorite?
That's so. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I'll think about it in the break, but I could just tell you this. That's the most objective. You flip a quarter on that one.
Well, a lot of it obviously will be tied to pressure grade and sack rate and all that good stuff. Tristan Wirfs, the only guy in NFL history to win an All-Pro First Team award, to be an AP All-Pro First Teamer at both right and left tackle. Just saying. More on FFC up next.
We're not saying every Sports Grid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie. Just saying. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
With the Sports Grid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. This update brought to you by Sky Rizzy. The U.S. government has delivered its first monthly surplus in its 2025 fiscal year, the second largest monthly surplus in history. In April, the U.S. government spent $591.8 billion while collecting $850.2 billion, creating a monthly budget surplus of $258.4 billion. The last monthly surplus was around a $300 billion surplus in April 2022. The popular video game Fortnite has returned to the iPhone App Store in the U.S. Fortnite hailed its app's long-awaited restoration to the iPhone and iPad in a Tuesday post, marking the first time it will be available on those devices since it was ousted in 2020 for trying to avoid the 15 to 30% commissions that Apple collects on in-app transactions. Apple said the dispute that had been keeping Fortnite off its iOS software for the iPhone had been resolved. I'm Trey Westerberg with the Sports Grid News Flash.
Find what you love what you find. A total wine and more. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guys in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21. Progressive Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance might be the easiest part of owning a home. Definitely easier than this.
Psst, honey, Flash, there's a salesman walking up the driveway.
Oh no, he's got a clipboard.
What do we do?
Get down.
Down?
On the floor, you...
Shoot, did he see us?
Why are you breathing so loud?
Home ownership isn't easy, but with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, shopping for home insurance is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Remember when you were thankful you could just get AM and FM?
Things have progressed.
Now even an app on your phone can give you a 21st century thrill with that little drop of heaven called
the deposit notification.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle. It is FFC. He is Joe Lisi. I am Ben Stevens. Enough of the NFL conversation on this Thursday on Football Full Circle. Let's talk a little college football now with some updates that we have this week in late May. Joe, exactly today, 100 days away from the opening full Saturday of the college football season, August 30th, Saturday, August 30th, 2025. And of course, entering 2025, could it be the second and yet final year of the 12-team college football playoff? That is up for debate. And of course, Joe, one of the main issues I thought people had with expansion in 2024 was not the additional teams, more so, but really the playoff formatting once we got there. The 5 highest ranked conference champs, not just earning that automatic bid to the college football playoff, but the 4 highest ranked conference champions guaranteeing an opening round bye. That was an issue for some, seeing Boise State and ASU get that opening round bye and into the quarterfinal round of the CFP. Well, Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports reporting early this morning, Joe, the college football playoff execs are scheduled for a call today where many of them expect to adopt a straight seeding model for the 2025 playoff that would feature a financial compromise. Of course, the SEC and the Big Ten have been largely in favor of that straight seeding. You still have the automatic bids to the college football playoff for the 5 highest ranked conference champs, but it's just in how the college football playoff committee would rank those teams 1 through 12, eliminating thus the automatic and guaranteed bye week for those 4 highest ranked conference champs. We're not sure the future of the college football playoff starting in the 2026 season, Joe, but it does seem as though there is some building momentum for a straight seeding model for the 12-team playoff in 2025.
Yeah, and that is right? I think the one thing when you look back at the college football playoff is how they seeded certain teams and, the perception that, and just the body of work where certain teams didn't perform during the regular season, but were rewarded for their success somehow, some way in the college football playoff. And look at Penn State in the 2 games that they had to play before they faced off against Notre Dame. They faced off against SMU and Boise State. Oregon wins the number 1 seed and has to face the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee. How does that play out? Yeah. So, again, I hope they get it right. Hopefully this is a step in the right direction. Straight seeding, best record, best conference, and we'll take it from there. But again, it's all about money, right? And this is not going to change. We're going to tweak this year after year after year because, teams will always have something to say, Ben, whether it be the SEC or the Big Ten. They're the main drivers of this. And again, until we satisfy them, they won't be happy.
No doubt about it, Joe. And the Big Ten and the SEC trying to paint a path forward for the most likely path for both conferences to get their teams deeper into the college football playoff with all of the financial incentive that requires. But for a league like the Mountain West that had Boise State as the 3 seed, or a league like the Big 12 that had Arizona State as the 4 seed, when you automatically get placed then with the opening round bye into the college football playoff quarterfinal, that comes with a bump of pay as well. So some financial assurances, it seems, will be made back to those other conferences that are not the Big 2 in the Power 4. Lacey Guy, here is how a 2024 college football playoff bracket would have looked like if we just had the straight seeding model. The 1 seed still would have been Oregon. The 2 seed still would have been Georgia, the champions of the Big 10 and the SEC title games respectively. But here's really the big difference. Texas was the top at-large team in that 5 spot. Penn State, the loser of the Big Ten title, like the Longhorns in the SEC, were the 6th seed. Based on the final college football playoff committee rankings, Texas was ranked 3rd, Penn State 4th. So those 4 teams, Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State, in that order, would have earned the opening round bye. Our 5-12 game would have been Notre Dame and Clemson. Our 6-11 game would have been Ohio State, Arizona State. 7-10, Tennessee and SMU. The 8-9, Indiana and Boise State. So the Broncos, who were 9th in the latest college football playoff rankings, and the Sun Devils, who were ranked 11th in the college football playoff rankings. Actually, I don't even know if those were the true rankings. Let me just find them here because I think they were a little bit deeper than that. Regardless where they were, Joe, they would have been the 9 seed and the 11 seed based on the straight seeding format, not the 3 seed for the Broncos and the 4 seed for the Sun Devils.
Yeah, and obviously that would have been right? You know, you give Texas, you give Penn State, at least that technically had harder schedules. You can make the argument, the better seeding. But, it would have provided an opportunity for Indiana to maybe win a college football playoff game against Boise State if they did square off, right? And obviously give Boise State an opportunity to, play Cinderella against a winnable opponent as opposed to stepping up against Notre Dame, who Indiana played, and Penn State, who Boise State lost to in the college football playoff. So, that's what you want to see too. Arizona State, you can make the argument, had the best showing as some of these Cinderellas because they potentially pushed Texas to the limit and lost that game in overtime. So, you never could say never, but styles do make fights, and you still want to see those Cinderellas have an opportunity to move on to maybe a semifinal playoff game. And at the current level, they faced off against dominant competition in week number 1 of the playoff.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Joe. So 1 through 9, Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Tennessee, Indiana, Boise State. Those were the top 9 in the rankings. SMU was 10. But again, based on having to move some of this stuff around, SMU would have been the 10-7 game against Tennessee. Arizona State was 12th. Clemson was 16th in the rankings. Who was number 11? Alabama. Well, would Alabama then get in? No, it still takes into account the 5 highest ranked conference champs, ASU, the champs of the Big 12, Clemson pulling the slight upset in the ACC championship game over SMU. They still earn those automatic bids, but not the 4 highest ranked conference champions getting the automatic first round bye. We'll talk a little bit more about the straight seeding model that could be adapted for the 12-team playoff in 2025 on the other side of the break. Because it's always fascinating, Joe, with the updates to the college football playoff, how the selection committee will actually handle it. We'll discuss up next.
Luck is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the ticket.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
Get the winning edge. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
Sports Grid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on Sports Grid Radio and Sirius XM Channel 159. Sports Grid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find Sports Grid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
It's stark but true.
You can either listen to Sports Grid for strategies, odds, and more, or you can pay your bills by digging in your couch cushions for change.
Just be sure to wear gloves.
Get the winning edge. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
According to Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports, their college football national writer, the CFP executives are expected to be on a call at some point on this Thursday to adopt a straight seeding model for the 2025 12-team college football playoff that would look different than a year ago, where the 4 highest-ranked conference champs earned that opening round bye, seeded 1 through 4, despite where they were ranked in the final college football playoff rankings. And Lisi Guy, one of our co-hosts, of course, on College Football Today, is Kevin Walsh. And he was really mad 2 years ago at the end of 2023 about how the committee had a lack of regard for 5 through 12, or the rest of the rankings after those contentious 4. Basically saying, next year, this is the stuff we will debate. And it still felt like at times this year, figuring out the top 12, but using the 5 highest ranked conference champs in their auto bid, and thus how the bracket would look according to the rankings, was always difficult and confusing each and every week. The reason I bring that up is because you could take the 2024 final CFP rankings that has 4 teams from the same 2 conferences at the top, 1 through 4, the 4 teams basically that competed in the Big Ten and SEC championship games, Oregon and Penn State, Georgia and Texas, and say, well, if we updated a straight seeding model for 2024, here's what it looks like. Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and Penn State all earning that first round bye. I am not so sure that if the committee was tasked with doing those rankings in this straight seeding model, that Penn State and Texas, the losers of the SEC championship game and the Big Ten championship game, would have been given the benefit of the doubt to earn that opening round bye. I think Notre Dame could have crept into the top 4 to get that opening round bye. So it will be very interesting. It's not just plug and play and here's how it would look and here's what we can expect. It'll take even more thought out of the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, which at times is a scary, scary idea.
Yeah, when you have former coaches and former, SI directors and current ones that are in particular conferences, they're always going to lobby for their best interest, right? I mean, we saw it on the college basketball side with North Carolina, right? I mean, you saw that and that type of dispute and debate that went down in college basketball. It's the same thing with college football. I could look at a team and they could be 11-1, and I could say strength of schedule as it relates to the ACC is not as strong as the Big Ten or the SEC, and 2 other people can look at it and say, no, you're wrong, this, that, and the other thing. And that's where you have that objectivity come in, and you can never come into, ultimately the proper or the correct way. So I say use a point system. I honestly believe they should just have a cookie cutter method, which is what it is. Instead of having people debate it, just have, a win over a top 5 opponent is this. A win over a top 10 opponent is this. A win over that. And let's just take it with that and see how that goes as it relates to these matchups. Because when you have human element involved, we're always gonna have a debate, Ben. Somebody's gonna be unhappy.
Yeah, and basically, Joe, what you are saying is kind of similar to the BCS model, right? The computer-generated rankings of how we crowned a national champion then, but it was only 2 teams that would just play in a BCS national championship game and the other bowls. If we used a BCS-type system now to slot in 12 teams in an expanded playoff, would we have as many issues with it? It was like the limited window of only having 2 teams playing a national championship game that gave us issue, trying to decide it on the field. Would it be very different now that there are 12 teams that would reach the college football playoff? Sometimes, Lisa Guy, I think we've lost the plot, right? Especially as we get into the ideas of the 14 and 16 team college football playoff that could potentially start in 2026, and the 4 auto bids for the Big Ten and the SEC grinds my gears to an absolute pulp. I hate it. I hate the idea of it because there should be equal opportunity to contend for a national championship, even if in its structure that is not a reality. The idea should be egalitarian. It is very much differently so, that maybe we do return to the BCS model if things get out of hand. We'll see, though, Lisa Guy, how it plays out in 2025. But I do agree with you, and it's also fascinating because the methodology, even in the 4-team era, which was 10 years, or now the second year of the 12-team era, there was never a common guideline or rules and regulations the committee had to follow year after year. One year would be strength of schedule. Next would be head-to-head matchups. That's what makes it oftentimes infuriating. He is Joe Lisi. I'm Ben Stevens. Football Full Circle returns tomorrow, noon Eastern time on a Friday on Sports Grid Radio.
Now you've done it. You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge for short. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.